Welcome back, guys. We have already gone through the first 4 colors and an introduction for Dominaria United. So if you guys missed those for our limited set review, make sure you guys go back and check them out. But we're going to be getting on with green today. And Yanks is on the call with us as always. How you doing, Yanks?
Doing good.
Let's go ahead and jump straight in with our first card, the Barkweave Crusher, a 4-mana 2/5 with Enlist. I like Enlist creatures with big booties. What do you think?
Yeah. We saw a bunch of Enlisted White. None of it was very good. We saw a bunch of Enlisted Red. It was all pretty good.
Yeah.
Green, 1 card in. This is more on the red side, particularly because you're in green. So you're going to have big things that maybe that are good to tap to increase the power of this if you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this card as well. I like 4-mana 2/5 that has some good upside. So, I mean, it's nothing special, but it's a solid 2/5 if you've got some good reason for the Enlist.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, all right. 2 mana for a Bite Down. Love the art. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. The planeswalker is a nice clause, not super relevant in limited, but you never know. It comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah, instant speed.
2
We're
mana.
just not even fighting anymore. It's just
No.
It seems like it's just biting.
Green removal has gotten a lot better in the last 5 or so years. That is certainly true. This is green's premium removal. I think this is a 3/5 pretty easy.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we have a Bog Badger. Yes, fucking bring on the Badgers. 3 mana, 3/3 with kicker 1 black whenever it enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, creatures you control gain menace until end of turn. This could actually just surprisingly kill somebody. It's like 4 mana, kill them.
Maybe if we built a large wooden badger.
Yes, this is why we are friends. It's a 3/3 for 3 on its own. The menace might not be relevant late in the game or early in the game, so kicking it's not super important anyway. But also, if you draw this late and you are kind of at a weird big board stall, your 6 creatures versus their 6 creatures is a lot better when all of yours have menace, and it might just kill them.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these off-color kicker cards where it's like you're not really happy to play it without the kicker, but you're happy with it. Here, you're kind of happy without it and really happy with it.
This kind of reminds me of the kicker cost. I think it was from the last Dominaria. It was an elf. It was a 3 mana to kick, so I think 6 mana total, where it made all creatures able to block a creature do so that turn. So you just were able to swing in cleanly for lethal with all your other stuff. It's not quite the same effect, but it feels like it plays similarly in the late game. So very playable on curve and offers a nice little bonus at the end there. I think this is a 3 for me.
Agreed. I like it at 3.
All right, Broken Wings, 3 mana, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. I like these well enough in best of 1. It's a 23rd playable card because it is so flexible. It has so many targets, you're likely to find a target, but it's mostly a sideboard card.
The amount of times they're reprinting this, do you think they have to start paying royalties to Mr. Mister?
What's Mr. Mister?
No. He had a song called Broken Wings.
Oh, sorry. I don't get your references now. The Badger was good. That one was a little bad. This is a 1/5 for me.
Yeah, that one. Agreed. Both on
You
both
agreed?
on the both on the reference and the 1/5.
I was going to say you agreed that your reference was bad.
Yes.
Colossal Growth, 2 mana. And kicker 1 red, target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. If it was kicked, instead it gets +4/+4 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. I like it. I like +3/+3 for 2. And then if you have the extra red, if you happen to be there, this can be quite a game changer. It could kill people.
Yeah, both the trample and the haste. Either one of them could kill somebody.
Absolutely.
Out of nowhere. But yeah, even just with green, this is okay. And then if you can get the bonus, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm a little less happy with the haste part, only because it's 3 mana to cast this. Whatever you're hasting can't be very big at that point, but it's fine. It's a nice little bonus. So this is, for me, it's like a 2/5, but I'm playing them only in creature-heavy decks, and I'm cutting them pretty liberally.
Yeah, I mean, the creature you'd be giving haste to can't be very big, but it's going to be pretty big once it gets 4/4.
That's true.
I'm with you on the rating, though.
Okay. Death Bloom Gardener, 3 mana for a 1/1 Death Toucher that has add a mana of any color. This is sweet. It is a little expensive for a mana dork, but it is a just straight up fixer and ramper. And also it has Death Touch, so it doubles as like a late game removal spell. If you can trade up pretty massive with this. And I just want to say that the colors and the art here is beautiful.
The art's great. It's kind of a bizarre combination of abilities.
I agreed, but I like it.
It's like Death Touch on a 1/1 in green is usually 1 mana. Then you've got the fact that it ramps. It's just kind of a weird combination that probably does enough to be good, but doesn't all seem to really fit.
I think it's a 3.
Yeah, it still ramps and fixes, so I think green is going to be probably the color most likely to be looking to splash, so...
All right, moving on to our big Defiler of Vigor. 5 mana for a Phyrexian Worm with Trample. It's a 6/6 that makes your other green spells cost up to 1 less if you pay 2 life. And then whenever you play a green permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. I think this is an awesome Defiler. This is probably the second best Defiler.
I think for limited, it's probably the best.
Yeah.
But I may have made this comment in the introduction video as well, but this is what happens when you let the Phyrexians get to Colossal Dreadmaw.
Yeah, I mean, it is a worm, not a dinosaur, but yeah, roughly the same. I think this card is fantastic. The only reason I think it's the second best in Limited is because drawing a card is always good. Putting a +1/+1 counter on your entire team is only good if you have a team. And, I don't know. I kind of like drawing cards more, but this is obviously amazing. Degrees of bombness.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a 5.
Yeah. It's a little tough, just if you play it on curve and it does nothing, then you feel pretty bad. But if you're playing it late and you can play another 2/2 or something, it feels really good. And if it's left on the battlefield for more than a turn, great.
Yeah.
Elfheim Worm, 5 mana for a 5/4 Vigilance and Trample. It's a big worm.
Yeah, this looks like it came right out of Dune.
Yeah, but slightly more green.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 keywords on a pretty good sized body. I like that, but it's a 2/5. I'm not a huge fan of the 4 butt.
Yep, agreed. Although it should get half a point bonus just because it doesn't have a paragraph of text on it.
I also someone's right. There's a saddle on it, and the saddle is tied to its mouth. The artist really kind of stretched this to the imagination. I am a giant worm. Yes, you may ride me, and yes, you may attach the saddle to my teeth. This makes no sense.
I was joking, but this kind of has to be inspired by the sandworms from Dune, right?
Probably.
Worm riding, yeah.
It is nice to see a card with 2 words on it, I agree. Elvish Hydromancer, 3 mana with a kicker of 3 and a blue that says when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. So it's a filler on-rate creature as a 3 mana 3/2 that if you are in blue then does something. I am not really playing this just in green unless I'm very desperate. So it's a baseline 1.8. Usually I like my 3 mana 3/2s to do a little something, even if it's not great. Those are usually our rates for 2s. But if you're in blue, I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah, I think the only way I'm playing this in non-Simic is if the elf part matters. If you have the Elf Lord and you have enough elves to make it worth it. But otherwise, you're right. It's just a Simic card.
Someone's saying it's a 7 mana clone, but that's not necessarily true because it also comes in with its own body. So I like it a little bit more than that, and I'm pretty happy to play it in a green-blue deck exactly, and it's a 2/5 for me.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
You can play it on curve if you need it. If you can recur it or bounce it, it feels pretty good. And then it is really good late game draw. So I'm not playing it in green, though. I will let you take this one.
Floriferous Vine Wall, 1 and a green for an 0/2 Plant Wall Defender. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. So looking at the top 6, you're pretty likely to hit. Um, I don't know the numbers. I'm sure Frank Karsten could give them to us, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But it's pretty good.
It's fine. It's an O2 defender is not going to be much of a speed bump, but it's a speed bump. It gets you your land that you need to draw. It's good in the defender's deck, and the art is cool. Is that like a little squirrel there? I can't really tell. It looks like an animal.
Yeah. It almost it's like animal shape, but it looks kind of metal.
Yeah, it's a little varmint. I don't know what it is, but I don't think this is that great. I'm probably not playing this. It's like a 1.5.
Yeah, defender deck, or if you're desperate for fixing to splash or play 4 or 5 colors, sure. That's
Gaia's... Oh, or Domain. If you're in a Domain deck, actually.
Yeah.
Gaia's Might, 1 green mana for a Domain. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each basic land type among lands you control. Okay, so it's probably a 1 mana +2/+2, which is a thing I play. But it usually gives trample to boot, so I would probably want to be at 3 colors before I'm really willing to play this. This is a 2.
Yeah, I think I've got this as like a 1/5. There are just better tricks in this format. But yeah, if you happen to be the Domain deck, then this gets a big boost.
All right, Herd Migration, 7 mana for a sorcery domain spell. Create a green 3/3 beast for each basic among basics you control. You could pay 2, discard this, search your library for a basic, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 3 life. So it just has land cycling with a little bonus. Late game makes a bunch of 3/3s. So this is a good domain payoff, but not really great outside of that.
Yeah, and it's a rare, so the fact that it helps fix for itself isn't really useful because you're probably not getting multiples.
Well, if you're playing it in the domain deck, like you draw it in your opening 7, right, and you have all these other domain cards that you want to be triggering as well, then you're just happy to pitch this for land cycling, get the one that you're missing.
Yeah, the land cycling is nice.
Yeah. How many beasts do you need to make to be happy to run this card? Like, how many beasts? What's your maximum beast amount? Like, is a 3-color deck good enough to run this?
I think I would play it in a 3-color deck if I had at least like one way to get to a 4th. If it's just a half off tap land. If the maximum I can get to is 3, I don't think I'm playing this.
Okay. I think I might, just for the fact that it also just turns into search for a land that you're missing, your splash color, and get it if you don't have it early. I feel like if I'm in a 3-color deck, I'm running this, but not super thrilled about it. And then if I'm in the domain deck, I start to get happier. So it's in the average deck, a 1.5. In any deck that's 3 colors or more, it starts to scale. Probably a 3.
Yeah, I guess my problem with this card is even if you're making a bunch of stuff, you just have 3 or 4 green 3/3s like in turn 10 and don't do anything because there's a 3/4 on the other side of the battlefield.
Do you remember how well Rise of the Ants played?
Yeah.
It was surprisingly good and won a lot of games. Now, this costs more. Sure. It's not quite the same thing, but like, just don't underestimate a 3/3 in bulk.
Yeah, it's more the fact that you can't. I guess you could be ramping, which would help.
Yeah, and also like, it's just a fixer. It's just a card that says get the 3rd splash color and get to continue to do your thing with your solid cards, which is fine. That's like the worst case.
Yeah, that part is nice.
Hexbane Tortoise, 3 mana for a 3/2 with Ward 2 and Enlist. Why does the turtle have no booty? I feel like turtles have to have booties, or what are we even doing here?
Maybe that's why it's a tortoise.
They're still hard. I don't understand.
I don't know.
You can't shock a tortoise.
Is that like a little mini tortoise on its head?
It is a baby tortoise that's also like roaring, I think. Yeah, that's adorable. This is like, it's getting the spider treatment. Like, do you guys remember, like, at some point about 2 years ago, spiders just started getting confused and their butts were where their faces should have been? Now that's happening with the turtles.
We all of a sudden had that 4/2 reach instead of the 2/4. Yeah.
which was actually fine. Like, it killed angels, which I liked, but like the butt was where its face should be, and it was super confused. Yeah, I mean, it's a 3/2 for 3, which is fine. It has ward, it has enlist, it has way more than what I need it to have on a 3 mana 3/2. So this is fine. This is a 2/5. But like, come on, Turtle, get it together. Put your butt back where it belongs.
My only thing with this card is I don't care that this card has ward. I don't care if my opponent kills this card.
I also don't even care that much that it has enlist, but like, whatever.
Neither of those things are good on this card.
But they're also not bad, so it's fine. It's enough for me to give it a half-point bump, which is okay. We have our Elf Lord here. Green and green for other elves get +1/+1, and elf spells. Whenever you cast an elf, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. I like this Lord ability on the draw, which is really nice. But how many elves are actually in the set? Is it like 2 or 3, like all the other damn things?
There are more elves. There are a ton. There are 6 other elves in green.
Fantastic. It makes me feel better about this card already. I am going to give it a... It's a split card. It's like a 1, but it's also like a 3 if you have elves.
Yeah, and I'm taking a quick look. I see 1, 2, 3, 4... 4 other elves in a multicolor.
So 10 total? Yeah, it's probably like, you'll probably have a couple of incidental ones that maybe make it worth playing, but it's still a tough to cast 2 mana 1/1.
Yeah, this card is going to be, I think, busted in Legacy, but kind of medium and limited.
How many elves do I have to play for this to be like a 2/5? Like 3 other elves?
How many cards do you have to actually cast or have in your deck?
Have in the deck for this to be like a 2/2/5. Probably at least 3?
Probably, I think 4 or 5.
Okay. I think once I get to 4 or 5, and I'm like, then I'm kind of guaranteed to find an elf to draw at some point. And if I'm drawing a card off this, I'm pretty happy. So I think my bare minimum to consider this is 3 or 4 elves, and I'm pretty happy at 5 elves. It's a split card, guys. It's a 1/3.
Yeah.
Build around it, I guess. I want it to be good, but it's just not. Line Breaker Baloth, 5 mana for a 4/5 with Enlist. It can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. Don't underestimate how often that is annoying and will kill you. Yeah, this card is fine. It's a big dumb idiot. I like big dumb idiots, as you could see from my recent dating pool. Okay, Yanks, what do you think of this big dumb idiot?
It's good. I mean, again, enlist cards with big toughness are kind of what you want to see. 5 mana 4/5 with another ability, pretty good on its own. That can't be blocked is kind of really annoying, especially with enlist, because it means they can't. If you can make this like a 7/5 or an 8/5, they can't just jump it with a token.
A round thing in your face, you get sprung.
I like it.
You like big butts,
and I
you cannot lie. Okay, so rating wise, like 3/5.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Llanowar Green Widow. Ooh. 3 mana for a 4/3 with reach and trample and domain 8. When return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each basic land among land types that you control. So it's probably going to cost you in the average green deck, right? It's just going to be a 6 mana return, which is fine for a 4/5 for 3 mana. It's got a great rate. This card's awesome.
Yeah, 3 mana, 4/3, 2 keywords. That can come back once. Yeah, it's expensive, but okay, it's still going to be, it's free in terms of a free creature, basically.
Absolutely. I am super happy to have this card. It's a rare, but it's like a big size body, even if the rest of the text is flavor text. I'm pretty happy to make this, a pretty highly rated card. It's going to be like a I like this as a 4. It's pretty high, but the fact that you get to do this body twice is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I have it as a 3/5, mostly just because the 3 toughness is pretty, easy to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I figure there's gonna be a situation where you're on the play and like you can run people over. There's a lot of really good cheap combat tricks, pump spells, 1 mana for like +2/+2, and just kind of run people over. And these keywords are sweet. It is a confused spider. His butt is where his face should be, but I'm not gonna fault him for that. He can't help it.
Yeah, he does not identify as a spider.
Don't do that. He's a spider, and he's fine. I think so. It's 3/5 and a 4. We have a little bit of a half-point disagreement, and we'll go from there. Llanowar Loam Speaker, 2 mana for a 1/3 that says add a mana of any color. Yes, please. I will play this even if it doesn't say anything else. And then you can tap target land you control becomes a 3/3 creature with haste until end of turn. It's still a land and you can activate only as a sorcery. So great. 2 mana ramper, fixer, and also late game get some extra beats in with your excess mana. Sign me up. This card is fantastic.
Yep, nothing not to like about this. Good fixer, relevant late game 2-drop, ramp, everything's good.
Yep. What do you like in score-wise?
I think it's like a 3/5. It's probably quality good enough to be a 4. It just doesn't have that huge of an impact.
Yeah, agreed. The other thing is, like, you can only do it as a sorcery, so they don't block. So, yeah, I mean, there are some things that could be better, but I agree. I think it's a 3/5 that is very powerful, that, is just missing a little something to be impactful enough to win the game on its own.
Yeah.
Llanowar Stalker, a 1 mana 1/1. When this creature enters the battlefield, under your control, Llanowar Stalker, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This is just like a worse 2-drop that we saw in Capenna that got +1/+1 for the creatures.
Yeah.
She has a sweet haircut, but I'm not interested in this.
It feels like a very big sword to only have 1 power.
Agreed. Although it kind of does double as like a bottle opener. Do you see the like back part there?
Yeah.
You could open a beer with that. I'm happy to not play this card. I think it's probably a 1.5.
Yeah, and this is another reason why the Elf Lord wasn't great. Like, this is one of your 6 elves.
Yeah, agreed. 4 mana 4/4 with reach. This is fantastic. This is a 4. This is a 3 for me. This is the what I like to see my curve doing. At commons, I'm happy to pick this card up.
Yeah, simple card, good rate. Treefolk with reach is pretty standard. I like it.
Mtgnerdgirl Sentry. It's fine. Give that a 3. We have a 7 mana, 5 green for a Treefolk 7/7 with trample. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. Okay, we've seen this in like worms and wolves that kind of were just like big dumb idiots that gain a little life. And they're usually playable, and we seem to have a fair amount of creatures that are ramping and doing stuff in green.
Yeah, I feel like this card has been 6 mana and like a little smaller recently.
It has.
I think I like it better actually being bigger.
It doesn't usually have trample, though.
True.
So, like, that keyword you're paying a little extra for, and it fits well with the 7/7. So it depends on how much ramp is in this format.
Yeah, I think in green, particularly if I'm trying to just play kind of a big dumb idiot late in the game, I would just rather have it cost more. I mean, to a point, but difference between 6 and 7.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't mind playing this on turn 12, so
Same.
I don't care that it costs 1 more. I'd rather have the little bit bigger body plus the keyword.
Same. My general rule of thumb for most decks is it's like I want in green when I've got like a mana dork or whatever, I want like 2 6-drops, but I don't care if it's like a 6 and a 7. That's like roughly the same to me. So I'm happy to play this. It's got, trample and it's giant mungus. So this is probably like a 3 for me. A top end, but play them sparingly. Nishoba Brawler, 2 mana for an X and 3 with trample. Its power is equal to the number of basic lands among land types you control. So this is a 2 mana 2/3, kind of at its worst. Okay. This seems great.
This card's just good, and in green, it's not going to take too much to get it to a 3/3. At which point, you're really happy.
Mm-hmm. And it has trample, so it works well with pump spells, which is really cool. Yeah, I'm happy with this card. I think this is a great curve filler. It's a 2/5 in the average deck. Domain decks will run with this card.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right, we got a Beast Caller for 2 mana. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this. This is sort of a reprint ability I've seen before. I think it was in the Dominaria set. When it dies, distribute the X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. I don't think it had the distribute ability, but there was definitely do a thing, put counters, right?
Sounds familiar. I'm trying to look through original Dominaria.
I think it started with a Q. I think it was green and had like a white ability or something.
I mean, there's historically been Kyrian cards tend to do something like that, where you do something and they get a counter, like Kyrian Dryad. And
yeah, it was a Dryad of some sort. But anyway, I think this card is fine. It's a 2-mana 2/2 that just gets out of control casting creatures, which is something every deck will do over time.
Yeah, anytime you get something like this where you don't have to go out of your way to enable it, it's always good.
And even if they do answer it before it gets in any damage, you can then redistribute some counters. This, to me, is like a 4.
Yeah, definitely. It's a 2-drops and it's not good late game, but you don't really expect most of your 2-drops to be.
I mean, it might be. It could just be a 5/5 late game, which is cool to me.
Sorry.
When you draw it.
I meant late game top deck. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You still have to, build it up. I agree. Scout the Wilderness. 3 mana with a kicker of 1 and a white. Search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped. If it was kicked, make 2 1/1 white soldiers. I like 2 extra mana for 2 1/1 whites. I'm not really interested in getting only 1 land for 3 mana at sorcery speed, but I am interested in kicking and making some bodies too. So I'm probably not playing this outside of exactly Selesnya, but in Selesnya, I'm going to play this, I think.
I like that some of these cards, the kickers are just sticking other cards onto them. Like, this is just raise the alarm.
Yep.
Put onto, a land search card. I like that they're just literally doing that. Not playing this outside of Selesnya, outside of maybe your most domainy of domain decks.
The funny thing is I actually would play a raise the alarm with the land attached to it without being green, but I would not play this in green without being white. So a lot of times the kicker is the better of the card.
Yeah.
I think this card is a fine 2/5 in Selesnya, and it's a 1/5 outside of that if you're trying to very heavily domain and you need that access to those cards.
Yep.
We have a Silverback Elder. It's an Ape Shaman for 5 mana. Very tough to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, which there's a lot of enchantments in this format. No, not a lot compared to, like, Kamigawa. But, like, White had 3 lockdown enchantments, right? So there's, like, a lot there.
Yeah.
Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tap, put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order, or gain 4 life. Wow. It's a 5/7 for 5 mana?
Is this just gonna, are they just gonna put these in every set? Every set now has to have, some ridiculously dumb green mythic that has, 6 options.
Someone said Harambe's father.
You had Titan of Industry, Elder Gargaroth,
Yeah. They're all good cards.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is if you can cast it, this is cheap enough to just kill somebody even if you don't have an issue. You're just attacking with a 5/7. There's not a lot you can do by turn 5 to stop that unless you have removal. And then if you get to get some extra land, if you get to destroy 1 even crappy artifact or enchantment, you feel amazing. This card's probably a 4. It's tough to cast.
Yeah, it's tough to cast, but green shouldn't have too much of a trouble getting to triple green on turn 5. If you do, you're struggling to cast anything. You're just mana short, probably.
It depends. Some of the fixers did any color, but they were kind of expensive, and we weren't really happy with. You weren't really happy with the 1/3 drop one, right?
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, your fixers are already in green, so you have to be having at least some green at that point. But yeah, it's not the easiest to cast for sure.
yep. So for me, I think it's a
Yeah,
4.
I think I have it as a 4/5.
I think I would put it at a 4/5 because they're not likely to answer it if you're playing it on turn 5. I just don't know how consistently you'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Slimefoot Survey, 5 mana for a sorcery with domain. Search your library for up to up to 2 land cards for each land. This is a lot of text. Search your library for up to 2 land cards that each have a basic land type. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of the library and the rest in the bottom in a random order. Okay, so you ramp at 5, and then you can scry a bunch. Scry 1 thing to the top, pitch the rest.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot of text. I'm not usually interested in ramping at 5 mana. I don't usually like those spells very much. In domain, maybe, because if I have like the domain payoffs, sure. I want to enable that like 7 mana make, beasts or whatever card, sure, but it's only going to find a home in just that one deck.
Yeah, I think this is a constructed plan for some sort of big ramp deck.
Agreed.
If there even is one.
Absolutely. It's going to see play in one deck and one deck only, and even then, maybe not. So it's a 1 for me.
Yep.
All right, now this spider knows where its butt is. A Snare Spinner, a 1/3 for 2 mana with reach, and whenever it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0. The perfect spider. That's exactly what I want my spiders to be doing. I want them to get a little bit bigger and be very aggressive to the flyers, and this is great. I'm interested in all of this card is doing. This is a 3 for me.
Yeah, I think I've got this as a 2/5. It's a reprint. We've seen it before, and I feel like it's always good, but not great.
Okay. 1 mana for an instant with a kicker of 2 and a white. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So that's multiple +2/+2s for 1 green mana. So you got to play around 1 green mana a lot in this format. And this one is pretty solid. +1/+1 counter on every creature for a total of 4 mana. I'm super into it.
Yeah. Again, I really only want to be playing this in Selesnya, but it's passable in other green decks.
Yeah, sometimes you just have a 23rd playable card you're most likely going to cut. You're usually not happy to just run a vanilla 1 mana +2/+2, but like it happens. It's like, that very, very borderline playable. But yeah, in Selesnya, I think this is great. I think this is counter on all of them, +2/+2 for 4 mana at instant speed. I'm super into this. I want to give this like a 3. It's going to play like a 3/5 in Selesnya. Holy shit. There's a lot of creatures in Selesnya. I'm very into this.
Yeah, I mean, the downside to this card is they kill your thing in response. You don't get the counters on everything else.
You got to play it carefully, but in instant speeds, that's part of playing good Magic.
Yeah. I think I've got this at like a 2/5 that plays like a 3 in Selesnya.
Okay. Well, I have it at a 2 and not Selesnya, and then I have it at like 3 that will play like a 3/5 if you have a lot of creatures.
Yeah, so I guess it's more like I guess I meant more it's a 2 that's in Selesnya is a 2/5 that'll play like a 3.
All right. Sunbathing Rootwalla, 2 mana for a 2/2 with domain. 4 until end of turn. Sunbathing Rootwalla gets +1/+1 for each basic land among land types you control. Activate only once each turn. So this is a 2 mana bear that then turns into like at least a 4/4 for 4 mana. That's fine. Filler plus.
Yeah. Rootwallas always have this sort of pump ability that you can only do once per turn. So continuing the tradition there.
Yeah, I like this at like a 2/5. I am okay with the late game mana sink, and it's just a bear for my curve.
Yeah, I think 2/5 sounds good.
Awesome. Tail Swipe. 1 mana for choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If you cast the spell during your main phase, target creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Cool. 1 mana instant speed fight that you can also just cast safely and get a counter. Or not a counter, but bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I know you mentioned it earlier, but the power creep on green removal is amazing. Remember when Hunt the Week was good removal for green?
Yeah, Hunt the Week gave a +1/+1 counter, but yes.
It was four mana sorcery speed.
Yes. The power, like, I feel like green removal has had the biggest jump in any card type or any color, period.
Yeah. Yeah, this card's very good.
Yep. You have to have a lot of creatures. Like, if you have, like, dirtily small green things, then this isn't going to be super great, just because it is a fight, not a punch. So, you know, a lot of times it is going to be a 2-for-1. If you need it in a pinch, you have to trade, right? You have to have something big. And a lot of times if you have something big, you don't necessarily need to fight their stuff. It is nice to fight like a flyer or something, but, you know, I've gotten spoiled by the punches, I will say. So,
yeah.
It's also not a counter, which, again, I'm spoiled, I know. But it's like a 3/5 for me.
Yeah, it's a 3/5.
All right. Tear Asunder 2 mana for a kicker 1 and a black. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If this was kicked, exile target non-land permanent instead. So it's a 1 or it's a 4.
Yeah, speaking of green removal.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is interesting.
This is Golgari removal, not green removal, but
yes. Sideboard card outside of Golgari. In Golgari, this is just 4 mana, destroy a permanent. Yes, please.
Yeah, and even better because it's exile.
And instant speed? Whew.
Yeah.
Whew, it's getting hot in here. Green, lighten it up. So yeah, this is a 4 for me.
So, yep. But yeah, you're only main decking it in Golgari.
Territorial Marrow, 5 mana for a star, and its power and toughness are equal to twice the number of basic lands. So it's just a 5 mana 4/4 at worst. It's probably a 5 mana 6/6. I'm into it. This card's fine.
Yeah, I've got this at like a 2/5.
Yeah, I think this is... It's like a 2 in a 2-color deck, and it's like a 3 in a 3-color deck.
Sure.
So I'll take that. Threats Undetected, 3 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library. Put the rest into your hand. Okay, so you just get your 3rd and 4th best card out of your deck for 3 mana. Okay. Creature, I mean.
Creature, and they all have to have different powers. So
sure.
You know, if your best creatures all have 3 power, then you can only put one of them in. You're not going to get it. Yeah.
That's true. Different powers is tough, so you end up with like janky 2-drops or whatever.
Yeah, and this is gonna make me revisit I gotta look up the rules text again on the difference between X and star.
Ooh, I didn't really think about that, but we did just see several stars, so...
And we're about to see another one in the next card.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna have to revisit that, because I can't remember. I know there's a difference, but as to what they are in other zones, that's why they're different things, but I gotta try to remember what it is.
Well, that said, it is very restrictive, and regardless on whatever that is, because there's not a ton of them, it's probably not going to be relevant in most decks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent to this card. I feel like it's playable, but it's certainly nothing exciting. I feel like if you have big green idiots that like give you an upper bound of 5s and 7s, great. And then you're most likely going to hit some 3s and 4s. It's still some decent card advantage. But if your deck is just like caps out at 4 powered creatures, then we're not interested in this card. So I'm just going to give it a dead center rating of like a 2.
Yeah. I think it's a 2 and will fit in certain decks, but it's never going to quite give you what you want.
Erborg Lurgoyf, 2 mana for a star, 1/1 star, and a crap ton of text. Kicker, blue, and or a black. It enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. Its power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. Whew. Okay, it's fine. I don't really like self-mill all that much, and it's like way too weird because if you miss, it feels bad. If I have graveyard synergies to pull stuff out, fine. But like, outside of that, it's a 2-drop I only want to play on turn 10 anyway. So I'd rather just like have a 5-drop.
Yeah, this is not Tarmogoyf.
No.
And Tarmogoyf wasn't even that great in limited.
Agreed.
Yeah, you'll find some synergies in the right deck with this, but for the most part, this is going to be like a 2-mana 2/3, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
well, if you play it on turn 2, though, it's going to be a 2-mana 0/1.
0/1, yeah.
That maybe slowly gets bigger and then just dies to like some random crap.
Yeah.
So I'm not in love with it, especially for a rare. I mean, if I'm in green, I'm probably playing it, but it's at like a 2 for me.
Yeah, it's like a 2.
Vine Shaper Prodigy, 2 mana for a 2/2 with a kicker of 1 and a blue. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest onto the bottom. So this is just a bear that has a built-in, what's the word, starts with a P? Ponder? No. What's the one that looks at exactly 3?
Ponder looks at 3, but you can put them on top or shuffle.
Okay. Possibility? What is it?
Does it anticipate?
Thrill of Possibility? Is that?
That's the red discard.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think I was mixing that, like, 2 things up. It's probably Anticipate, I guess.
It's Anticipate, yeah.
Okay, built-in Anticipate. So I'm bad at cards. It's fine. Yeah, I love this card. This is great. It's a bear when you need it to be a bear, and it's a card advantage bear when you have time.
Yeah, nothing not to like about this card.
3?
Yeah.
All right. The Weatherseed Treaty, 3 mana with Read Ahead. Chapter 1, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, and shuffle. 3 mana, ramp, fixing, domain, fantastic. Chapter 2, create a 1/1 green sapling token. And Chapter 3, domain, target creature you control gets +X/+X and gains trample until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among basic lands you control. So we're going to assume 3. So ramp and fix, make a 1/1, and then make a 4/4 trampler. Sure, it's fine for an uncommon. I'm playing this in my domain decks, but probably not in anything else.
Yeah, I do like, this is one of those sagas I really like to read ahead, because there's late game, you're just a lot of times not going to want to waste time with 1.
Yeah.
So that's nice, but yeah, it's good in domain, pretty medium elsewhere.
This is like a 1/5 in a 2-color deck, and this is like a 2/5 in a 3-color deck.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
All right. The World Spells, 7 mana for a mythic saga with Read Ahead. Chapters 1 and 2 say, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-saga permanent card from among them and put that into your hand. Put the rest onto the bottom in a random order. Okay, that seems good. 3, put up to 2 non-saga permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay. I mean, it does cost 7, so you could probably play them anyway. But yeah, that's some decent card advantage. And you're digging through 14 cards of your deck. Heaven help them if you have any more mythic bombs in your deck. You get them for free, basically.
Yeah. This is not one you're almost ever going to read ahead on, I would think.
Correct.
I mean, I guess there's some scenario where you have 2 6-drops in your hand and just want to put them out for 7 mana, but it still feels kind of bad because the card disadvantage there.
Yeah, I still think I'd want to do one of the things.
Yeah, I mean, this card has a lot of power, but it is slow.
It is slow, and I think you have to have things worth getting. Like, if your deck just tops out at 4 drops, like, this is probably not a thing you're really interested in doing. Because if you get to turn 7, you're already having other problems.
Yeah.
You would be better off just finding a Colossal Dreadmaw and putting it in your deck. So, yeah, I mean, this is okay if your deck is full of big green baddies and ramp. Other than that, I think I'm not super interested.
I mean, if you did that, you would get disqualified, but...
Well, I just meant the Colossal Dreadmaw's cousin that happens to be in Dominaria United. I don't know what his cousin's name is. Okay? And Defiler or whatever.
Yeah.
The Phyrexian completed Defiler. It's like a 1 or a 3 if you've got big greenies.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably... I find it... I actually don't think there's many green decks you're not going to play this in. Just because you're in green, you're going to have something big.
Fair.
No, it's going to range from like a 2 to a 4 probably within that green set, but I don't think it's ever unplayable in green.
All right. So what is your rating on it?
It's probably a 2.5 on average with the high upside.
All right. Now we've got Yavamaya Iron. That's not what that says at all.
Iconoclast.
I was like, Iron Cast. Nope, that's wrong. Iconoclast. Classed 2 mana for a 3/2 with kicker 1 red with trample. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, put a +1, get +1/+1 and haste until end of turn. Wow. That's pretty strong. It's a great rate on its own. Has a keyword, not super relevant on how small it is, but plays very well with pump spells. Plays very well with at 2 mana, 3 power. Plays very well with enlist. And yeah, I like this card. And you can also just dome them for 4 that they don't expect for 3 mana.
Yeah, just the kicker cost or kicker effect is a little bit disappointing to me, just because...
Not that it's not good, but Iconoclast and red kicker would make me think it was going to destroy an artifact, because that's kind of what the word comes from.
I think for 1 mana it does enough for me to be happy.
Oh yeah, the card's good. I was expecting that to be like kicker red, destroy target artifact or something.
This is a very, very good uncommon. This is like a 3 that's going to play up.
Yes.
In aggressive decks.
I think this card's great.
All right. Yavamaya, 8 mana for a domain 4/6. This costs 1 less for each basic. So let's just say in your average 2-color normal deck, it's going to be what? 6 mana?
Yep.
For a 4/6? It's a little small. 6 mana is usually like a 6/6 vanilla at common. But, you know, if you are a domain deck, you get the payoff for this and you get to cast it on... Let's say you have 3 colors by turn 4.
Yeah, I think I want to cast this for 4 mana before I'm happy. And I know that's not going to be on turn 4, but like I want to be able to double spell this for 4 mana on like turn 6 or something.
There's a common round of dual lands that count, right? So I feel like there is going to be a janky 5-color deck that is happy to run 5 of these, and they will kill you with it. That's a very, very real deck, I think. And it's only 1 green, it's not double green, so it doesn't even punish you for doing that. And I think you will be able to cast this on turn 4 pretty reliably in that one deck. But in the average deck, this seems not good to me. It's way below Colossal Dreadmaw.
Yeah, this is like a 1 in your average deck.
Agreed.
And like a 3 in your domain decks.
All right, guys. Yanks, thank you so much for joining us. That's the end of our green. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys go back, check out our other ones. All the other colors are up and the introduction. We'll be doing multicolor and colorless tomorrow, so make sure you guys stop back by and leave us a comment and let me know what you thought of the green cards in Dominaria United. See you guys tomorrow. I'd like to end this video with a special thank you to those of you guys who have signed up for my Patreon. Without my wonderful patrons, none of this content would be possible. If you'd like to support this content and get your name up on the Wall of Fame, you can sign up for our Patreon by using the link down below in the description. Another way you can support the channel is by using code MNG5 with Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find cool stuff in stock. They have everything you need for Magic, board games, and any of your other nerdy hobbies.